Hello, welcome to Hayat Insights. Friends, this is about the communication skills, and in this video we are going to talk about verbal communication. In the last three videos, we have talked about the benefits of communication skills, the levels of communication, and about the barriers of communication skills. Now, next one is verbal communication. Now, before that, talking about verbal communication, we want to talk about the percentage or contribution of verbal and non-verbal communication. It is said that verbal communication is 35% in fact, and non-verbal is almost double that, or it is 65% of communication. So let us see what verbal communication is all about. Now, it is use of sounds and words to express yourself. Now, it is said in a lighter way that verbal communication is saying no when someone asks you to do something, or maybe you don't want to do. So, how to say no also is included in verbal communication. Now, the communication is verbal and non-verbal either. In case of verbal, it is about language and sounds, whereas in case of non-verbal, it is about gestures, body language, sign language, signals, and the other levels or other types of communication. So, the non-verbal communication, we are going to talk about that in the next video. Now, in this one, we are going to talk about actually only about the verbal communication. So, it is all about the language, that is signals, volume and tone. Volume plays a very important role, and also the tone of communication. Whatever you are saying, what is your tone, the syntax, diction, emphasis, distance, your pronunciation, context, inflection, and interpretation. So let us see how it matters a lot as far as the communication is concerned. Verbal communication is said to be conveying thoughts much easier and faster. What are the elements of verbal communication skills? The first one is voice tone, second is voice speed, voice volume, then comes language, vocabulary, and lastly it is grammar. So the first one is about the voice tone. Now, in fact, it is said to be the most basic element as far as your voice tone is concerned, because whatever you are saying, your tone is, your pitch is very high or low, or in what way you are saying, in a very passive way, active way, with all your enthusiasm, or in a very, you can say, cold way. So it all depends. That is how you are uttering the words, how you are conversing. So the voice tone matters. For example, you are inviting somebody for maybe lunch or dinner or to your place. So the tone matters a lot, because people do interpret or read what is your tone, whether there is warmth in your tone, or it's just a formality, or is it a just cold call. So how do you express that? It matters a lot. So that's why it is said to be the basic element. And then even when you are not saying all those words, your tone will speak a lot. Then your voice speed. You are speaking fast or you are speaking with less speed. It matters. It can convey your excitement or maybe how agitated you are feeling. So your inner self is expressed by your voice speed as well. Then voice volume. Either you are shouting at somebody, or you are at very low volume. So how is it you are expressing yourself? It can range from a whisper to a scream, and anything in between. So if you are shouting at the highest level, or the same thing can be said in a maybe more assertive manner with lower voice volume also. Maybe that is more effective. But people do not understand this. They think that the higher the volume, or you can say the more you shout, the more you are going to be listened to. But it is actually the other way around. So next is about the language. Then what type of language an individual is using? Of course, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of grammar, it is more of an academic thing, or it is more of a, you can say, educated or informed communication. But other than that, language also matters, that what type of language you are speaking. So all this is a part of verbal communication. Now, verbal communication can be further said to be in terms of oral and written. So what is oral communication? It is about speech, it is about maybe video, radio or television, telephonic conversation, etc. And written is about the emails, letters, report, memo, etc. Now I just want to say a word about the email or the letters. Now it is said that with the advent of internet, or with the more and more people across the world switching on to email, so again there is a big complaint that people are not able to still convey the proper message in the email as well. So before that, I think if we take a step back, it starts from letters. Do we have the proper ability or efficiency to, or proper skill to write letters also or not? So I think again you need to go back to the schools. That's where the responsibility lies, or maybe with the parents. That is, did you check with your children or the students that do they have the proper or the minimum level of writing, that is still the letter writing? So I think that's where I think we are far behind as far as the letter writing is also concerned, particularly with the telephone, or you can say the mobile age, where most of the messages have become more and more short. So because of which it has affected a lot in terms of your letter writing as well. So how do you improve on that? Because unless until you give a proper message, short and very clear, precise message to the employer or to the client or to the what do you call, customer, whoever it is, you are not going to convey the message. So it has to be very precise, or it has to be very short and clear cut message. So that's where I think letter writing matters a lot, because most of the employers also find this problem that even the covering letter with the resume is not proper. Even the professional colleges have this deficiency that the students are not able to write the proper covering letter as well. Then comes the report writing. So I think that also matters, that how do you explain whatever has happened, whatever work you have done, how do you convey it to your organization or to any other authority. So report writing also becomes very important as far as your verbal communication is concerned. So verbal communication can be said as more with your words and with your, you can say, written language also, that is oral as well as written language. Now in terms of types of oral language, it is more with respect to face or maybe with telephonic conversation. Now most of the time when you are talking on a mobile phone, on a telephone, the receiver is unseen. So because of which, again, if you are a stranger, or maybe if you are talking to a customer or an unknown person, then your phone conversation matters a lot in establishing a particular impression. So how do you converse in a polite manner, in the most appropriate manner? So it all depends. Now again, that doesn't come overnight. Again, you need to try hard. You need to really, you can say, get training into that, and practice over a period of time. Only then you can master it. Then of course, group discussions, meetings, speech, all this comes under your verbal communication. So verbal communication is more about written communication as well as oral communication. So friends, in the next video, we'll talk more about the non-verbal communication, where you're going to talk about the gestures, body language, sign language, signals, and in the other types of, you can say, body language signals. So this was about the verbal communication, and thank you very much. We'll meet in the next episode, next video. Thank you.